Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Friday's transcendental immersion into the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hope you're all having a good Friday. I'm going to pack it up. I'm going to pack these kids up. We're going to head to New Jersey for the wedding, where there will be an assistant priest there, you might know, named Kaustubha. I'll be riding in on a steed and a turban. I've got text messages yesterday, Kaustubha. We want to see your outfit, Raghu. We want to see your outfit.
So you got to go special this time.
I got to go special.
Maybe one of those bundies from gopiskirts.com.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah.
Fancy flowery one.
Yeah, I like flowery.
And then like a real shiny lungi.
You know, I've got one of these really long kurtas down on my knees. I think I might wear the, That's the look. That's the look. Remember that guy? I shouldn't say that guy, but that great soul, that Punda at Nidhivan in Vrindavan. Remember him? The Punda at Nidhivan. Oh yeah,
we went into Nidhivan, and he looked just like you. He had your same build, and he had your same mood, and he had
the guy had a huge pot belly. What are you talking about? He had the same build.
He didn't have a huge pot belly.
He was like an old man with a giant belly.
No. That's you see, your mind is creating that right now. He wasn't, and he had a really long. He had a really long bundi on, or kurta or something. Super long. Remember that? And we were saying we got to get you one of those.
So the bugle bundis are the ones that tie. That's what they.
I don't remember if it was a bundi or if it was a kurta, but it's very long.
Yeah, I have a very long kurta. Very long kurta.
This is really long.
Yeah, I have a kurta down on my knees, but I like the what do you call them again? Those pants that puff out at the top and tight at the knees.
If you do that, get a very long kurta, okay? Because that just does not work.
Well, you don't see the puffy butt. It goes down to your knees. You just look like you're wearing almost like tights,
like almost like a like a Victorian era kind of thing or something like that.
But all I have to wear
war times where they had those kind of things.
Yes.
I guess so you could fit them in the boots. That's probably why they had them, so you can put your boots on. That's probably why they wore those.
No, they wore them on top of the boots. The thing is, I have no shoes. I have to wear like Vans, checkered slip-on Vans with that outfit because I've got no good. Appropriate sneakers. Dressing up, you need you need dress, in our world of welcome to Bhakti, everyone, where you need yet another set of clothing to wear for devotional events.
I think that's like part of the reason people get into Bhakti.
Yeah, sometimes people get into it just to dress up. Well, where can a woman walk around looking like a queen?
So glamorous.
Right? It's incredible.
That's fun. What I always say. Like, if it's different, like North India and South India, even Bengal, but like especially in South India, especially like in Tamil Nadu, and women wear saris, and just like women that are just doing ordinary stuff, they look super good. It's like they could walk right off of the, like right out of the wherever their mundane job is and walk like right into
like a gardener,
some big gala event. Yeah,
like the gardener. Ever see that gardener at the GEV? She's like squatting down, chopping weeds. She's carrying a sickle. Like nobody carries a sickle in America unless you're death
She could drop her
personified.
sickle and walk right into the metropolitan.
Yeah, yeah. She could walk
thing,
into the president's red carpet night.
Yeah, it's
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I don't know if we can pull that off with the dhotis. I like the South Indian dhoti look myself. I think you sort of in our last life might have been a South Indian Brahmin, Kaustubha.
I don't know.
I was to guess your last life. If I was,
I'm probably going backwards.
And I told you, I wrote this in my book. My journey to Manipur. In Manipur, the women wear a whole different outfit. It's not a sari. It's this whole other long skirt
dress.
Very cool. Very cool. The boys all wear buckle bundies too, though. Anyway, how was your wedding? You did the wedding yesterday, 26 Second Avenue. It was a beautiful
festive event. It was festive. It was kind of it was very what's the word I'm looking for? Intimate and kind of like family like. It was largely people from England that came.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and it was very sweet. There's a devotee there, Bhagavad Ashraya Prabhu, and his wife Sarvamangala, who they've been kind of like godparents to Genevieve since her birth.
Bhagavad Ashraya, he used to be the temple president of
Soho Street.
Soho, I remember him.
Yeah.
When I first went to Soho Street, when I was on my way to India, he was there as the temple president.
Oh, wow. Well, he had a lot of nice things to say about wisdom of the sages. Actually, it was really sweet.
Really? Oh.
And he spoke really deeply. Kind of the highlight for me. I felt I could have done a lot better, but
you said before you said I don't know what I'm going to say, but you know what I will say, that oftentimes when you read sacred literature and wisdom literature, they always say one of the qualities of devotees is that they are very poetic. And I was thinking when you said I don't know what you're going to say, I was thinking Kaustubha's going to say something wonderful and profound, and it happens when you practice bhakti. All of a sudden, it's sort of like. It's like you please the goddess Saraswati, and the Saraswati starts to speak out of the devotee. That's why devotees can go up pretty much unprepared for a class and give the most eloquent, beautiful.
I wasn't
class
I wasn't hitting on all cylinders yesterday.
You weren't hitting on all cylinders. I'm sure you were.
I mean, people
That's
liked
because
it,
you're
but
humble.
I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. But this was the good thing was because largely I was the MC. Everyone else that spoke really well. Yeah. Which kind of lifted me up. It was like I wasn't lifting them up. They were more because they were speaking so well. It made my job relatively easy.
Wow.
Any case, it was nice. Brahma Horta spoke about. Yeah, I was going to say Brahma Horta spoke about Kula Pradeep, the groom, and they grew up together. Like they found bhakti together. I think Kula Pradeep was 16 and had a driver's license, and Brahma Horta was 14. And, they found the Bhagavad Gita and they got into it. And then they were like, we need to go to one of these temples. And they got in the car and they drove off. And that was their start. So he shared a lot about the character of Kula Pradeep, who popped in and had a little cameo on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That was nice. I had a great talk with somebody we're going to get for a Sunday guest. This old Prabhupada disciple. It's so much. He talk about word nerd. He is the king of word nerd philology. And we were just talking about the words, the origins of words. And he's like, it's like Russian is all Sanskrit based. German is all Sanskrit based. It's not Latin based. And he started breaking down words to me. And he didn't realize how much of a word nerd I was, but he is like the master word nerd. Then he started saying like Russia is from Rishishka, where the rishis would go to Siberia and worship. And then he talked about Skanda in Scandinavia and how they worship Skanda there. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
You're going to love this person. He was he was the first Western Vedic astrologer. He said he coined the phrase Vedic astrology. He was always called Jyotish. Oh. But he and his friend were taught astrology by the same person that taught it to that was Maharishi's astrologer and the Beatles astrologer. Okay. And he's just one of these interesting guys. I just shut up and listened after a while. And After I tried to push forth my story and how cool I was, it was easily dwarfed by his stories. Huh?
Amazing. He eclipsed you with his.
He eclipsed me. For sure. Anyway, we're gonna get him on the show.
Okay. Now, how about announcements? We got to keep moving here.
Keep moving. We're having live here, but Lev never showed up. My man crush Lev is supposed to be here right now.
Yeah,
Mara came over, but there's.
I got is me.
Yeah. All I got is Mara.
Sorry. All right. Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at 1 p.m. today. And then tomorrow is our Q&A day. So if you have questions, you can email us at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And then Sunday, we have no show because Raghu's in the city. There's also
Sunday no show. Okay.
Right. And then there's also a few spots left for the Wisdom of the Sages Italy retreat in July.
Not many. There's 4. And I think there's 1 or 2 spaces for New York City. So go to wisdomofthesages.com and check that out if you're interested in the Rath Yatra weekends in New York City.
Did you guys? I don't go too. This is a potential huge squirrel, but did you find a nice car yesterday, Mary?
Yeah, we can't talk about it. So don't spoil it. You got a car. Mara's looking for a car.
Special.
Mara's looking for a car. Okay.
Why don't you check out this nugget today?
Oh yeah. All right. This is good. This is very, very good.
Who's it?
All right. This is from Siddhartha, from Hermann Hesse. Within Siddhartha, there slowly grew and ripened.
Slow down.
Let me start again.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath here.
Take a deep breath. Let's hear.
See, when Lev is here, I'm very calm.
Yes.
He calms me. Lev has a calming energy.
Mara doesn't?
No. Within Siddhartha, there slowly grew a ripened. Within Siddhartha, there slowly grew and ripened the knowledge of what wisdom really was and the goal of his long seeking. It was nothing but a preparation of the soul, a capacity, a secret art of thinking, feeling, and breathing thoughts of unity at every moment of life. Within Siddhartha, there slowly grew and ripened the knowledge of what wisdom really was and the goal of his long seeking. It was nothing but a preparation of the soul, a capacity, a secret art of thinking, feeling, and breathing thoughts of unity at every moment of his life. I love this one.
You love this one?
Well, I love this one because, what are we doing? Some people can look at us and say, what are you guys actually doing? You know what I mean? Because it's not like when you look at Ashtanga yoga or even people who are like advanced in pranayama who can like stop their heartbeat. Like, well, okay, this practice lets you stop your heartbeat or lets you create heat in your left hand and your right, like what mystic yogis do and yogis with Siddhi. Or even if you're doing yoga asanas, like, wow, you can do Natarajasana and you can drop back into a wheel and you can like all these things. What do you guys actually? You Bhakti yogas don't do anything. You know what you do? You're doing like mental engineering. It's like you're almost like this psychic surgery of your ego. It's actually real and it's happening. And because all of our pain exists in the mind, it all exists. And if I have any blaming going on, any resentment going on, any anxiety going on, I can't be happy in this world. And so a lot of the work we're doing by hearing on a regular basis, it's doing like delicate, like a precision surgeon to the ego, to the arrogance, to the anger, to the resentment, and cutting it away, like you would you'd cut away a tumor. That you're just cutting it away from the pure mind. It's amazing, actually, what's happening because you can be in this world and not have resentment, fear, anger. Which is the stuff that actually burdens us in the world, our desire for revenge and spite, and it's cut away. It's actually very magical. It appears very normal, but it's very magical.
I'm going to tie this in, Raghunath. How does this relate to the quote? To the nugget?
Okay. I don't know.
Tie it all in now.
Oh, because it was saying that within Siddhartha, there slowly grew and ripened knowledge. Well, this is what we're doing. These things within are actually becoming ripened. Okay. And And this is, it was nothing but, because what we're doing is we are preparing ourselves. He said, it was nothing but a preparation of the soul, a capacity, a secret art of thinking, feeling, and breathing thoughts of unity at every moment of life. We are preparing ourselves for the spiritual world. And you don't have to wait till you die. You're preparing for it right now within this world. You can experience spiritual life in this world, the joy of spiritual life right now at this moment. Not when you die, there's some big payoff for your piety and your sacrifice and your penance. Right now, there is a deep joy where you can live enemyless.
Nice.
Think about that.
I like that. I think it's nice. I also love this this little quote from the book Siddhartha for several reasons, right? I think they're similar. I think we both look at it and we see it in different ways, but at the same time, there's a unity, right? As it's mentioning. That first of all, just the idea that knowledge is something that ripens, right? And this is actually a theme. There's a major theme in the book Siddhartha, and it's a theme that like I kind of agree with and I kind of disagree with how he presents it. But that theme is that wisdom is something that you can't give, right? One person can't give wisdom to another person. You can give knowledge, right?
Oh, that's a very, very sanguine point, Kaustubha.
Thank you. Well, it's
Can't
you
give,
know, in other words,
you can't give wisdom. You can give knowledge. They have to.
yeah, you could
They have to
test
get
someone
that.
on knowledge, right? Like we could
Right.
put everyone in a classroom and give knowledge and then test them and they can repeat that knowledge and you can give that. But wisdom is something else. Wisdom is, and what is wisdom? It's knowledge ripened, right?
Right.
It's like when that knowledge isn't something that you just know in your head. But, and the way that he describes it here is he describes it on 3 different levels: thinking, feeling, and breathing, right? In other words, it's going deeper and deeper and deeper. It really becomes part of you, right? So
Right.
that's the first thing I like about this quote. And then second of all, like, you know, was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was the day before. We spoke about, we were talking about Raghunath Swami, we were talking about wisdom, and we were talking about how wisdom has a lot to do with recognizing how things grow, right? Like you can look at a plant and say this plant grows this way and this plant grows another way, right? This plant grows like all its roots are growing first and then it just pops up. And this plant kind of shoots up for, you know, this one grows fast, this one grows slow. You know, the fig tree takes this long to grow. And you look at how things grow and you see those same patterns, or you see, as he's mentioning here, unity, right?
Right.
In so many other places. So like if I look and that's why a lot of times deeply spiritual people are into gardening and so on, you know, because there's so much to appreciate there. And then it applies to life. It makes you think about life. It makes you think about your relationships. It makes you think about your own life and how it's developing, you know, because you're watching nature develop in front of your eyes. And so, what was I going to say? I completely lost.
I don't know. I was just appreciating gardening there for a moment.
Okay, so we were talking about Raghunath, so we're talking about wisdom, we're talking about growing, and seeing this unity in all things. I actually, frankly, I got lost, but let me go to that part of it.
Squirrel me this, Kaustubha.
It's not a squirrel; it's right on the point, but somehow I got lost in it. But in any case, the secret art of thinking, feeling, and breathing thoughts of unity at every moment. When you become wise, when you have that deeper insight, when you're not just full of knowledge, but through reflection, you ripened it, right? Through thinking about it, through contemplating it, through applying it, you begin to see that this unity. And we understand that unity, like that, for instance, that in one sense, there's a unity that everything is the energy of God, right? So like everything is tied into that. There's nothing separate. There's no way, just like 2 leaves, right? There's one leaf on this side of the tree, and there's another leaf on that side of the tree. You know, even like, again, you look at plants, right? Like you look at plants and a lot of times like the part of the plant that's facing the sun is either more developed or is now more like decrepit, you know, like based on its positioning on the tree, right? Whether it's on the south, you know, depending where you are on the earth, you know, it may be the south or the north, that one part of the tree gets more sunlight than the other. And you see that the leaves appear to be very different. But actually there's a unity. You know, you may see disunity there, but actually there's unity because both of those leaves, even though they're in a different location, and even though they appear different, they're both connected to the same root. It's that root it's that common root that sustains them, and it's that common root that gives them, in a sense, that it is the basis of their unity. And so when you become wise, all of the superficial things, all the external things, it's not that you don't recognize them, but you recognize the unity that's underneath it. And it's not only that you think it, but then you begin to feel it. And then in a sense, right, it's poetic, but you begin to breathe it. In other words, we don't think about breathing. We just breathe automatically. And when you reach that deeper wisdom, you don't think about the unity. You just feel it. And then you actually, in a sense, breathe it. It's just like it's automatically there in your words and your movements and your thoughts. It's like you don't have to try. Breathing is automatic. And it's something that goes on from the moment that we're born to the moment that we die. It's just there unconsciously, driving us and sustaining us. Our wisdom will be like that. The deep people, they're moving through life with that grace based on the wisdom that's become deeply imbibed in them. And it has to do, it has to do with that unity, with seeing that. When we're not seeing the unity, it means even we may have so much knowledge. And I think we see this a lot too. Like you take the political world, right? You have a liberal idea, you have a conservative idea. There's value in both of those paradigms. But has it matured to wisdom? And if it hasn't, then you see the distinctions rather than the unity, and your whole thing becomes based on the distinctions, and you just polarize and fight. Whereas like the wise person is kind of, the unity is never lost, right? The unity is always felt, and through that there's compassion. Through that there's naturally kindness. One leaf doesn't attack another leaf because it's actually hurting itself, right? Because they're all on the same plant. In any case, I really liked it.
Have you ever read anything else by Herman Hesse?
Yeah, I've read a few.
What else?
Books.
Steppenwolf?
I haven't read Steppenwolf. Narcissus and Goldman, which was another great book.
I'm going to see if I can get those on Audible. You know what I listened to this morning on Audible? I'm just going to share this because I listened to this during my jog.
Okay.
This morning. Okay. It was, it's free. It's Amalabhakta Swami.
Oh, yeah.
Amalabhakta Swami. You guys can look at this if you have Audible. It was the life of Tulsi Devi. That's what I listened to this morning. The appearance of Srimati Tulsi. It was all beautiful meditations on. I was jogging this morning, just thinking about the potency of worshiping Tulsi. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Tulsi.
Yeah, I love the way that is done. Like it's like sound effects and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he does sound effects too sometimes. My older kids grew up with listening to Amalabhakta Swami children's Krishna book, which is really, it's really a sort of like 80s sound effects.
Oh, I love it.
But it's good. It's really good. And then there's an adult Krishna book. This is great. Anyway, there's tons of stuff on Amalabhakta Swami, and it's free on Audible. So check that out.
All right.
That is a public service announcement.
Thank you, Raghunath.
Okay.
Are you ready for Bhagavatam now?
I'm so ready. Om Namo Bhagavate. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayam Madirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavate Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become extinguished, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnanatimarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Hi. Okay. All right. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 4, Chapter 16, Text 6.
Text 6. Okay.
Want to rewind that? Okay. Text 6. This King Prithu will be powerful as the sun god.
Who's speaking, brother?
the reciters.
Was Mara whispering at you the answer?
It's like line, please.
Phone a friend here.
This
So the king is being. This is the coronation of the king, and
these what are
the
they
bards,
called?
right?
The bards.
Yeah, they're
Interesting. There were bards in all cultures.
But these bards, they're sages, right? They're like.
I think maybe all the okay. Yeah. King Prithu will be as powerful as the sun god, and just as the sun god equally distributes his sunshine to everyone, King Prithu will distribute his mercy equally. Similarly, just as the sun god evaporates water for 8 months, and during the rainy season returns it profusely, this king will also exact taxes from the citizens and return the monies in times of need. It's interesting. Everything we know about kings and taxes, we've got backward. The idea is that taxes are extracted, but they're meant to nourish, actually. They're not meant to be like skimmed off the top by people that we elected in a particular position. They're going to get payday. They're actually meant to give back. And in the same way, the kings actually have a type of dharma that they have to do in the same way a Brahmin has a type of dharma, in the same way a laborer has a type of dharma. And everyone is actually feels a good king in this system would not feel better than another. They would just feel like, I'm just doing my duty. And when it's time for me to relinquish my duty, like we see these kings at the time of death, they just relinquish it like it's like they're never attached to it in the first place. When you hear about these kings living their dharma, it's the same finish line, even for a laborer, which is liberation from birth and death. It's the same finish line. It's not like I'm going to die with a bunch of stuff. They're fully training themselves that none of this stuff is mine. And I'm just here to serve. It's a very great way to look at the world.
Well, yes. Now you're putting a positive spin on it, Raghunath, right? But someone could throw another spin on it.
What's that spin?
Well, in other words, what's been expressed in this verse. First of all, we've been reading about how what was the whole reason why the sages said we need to break into the DNA of the previous king and create a new king. What was the reason?
Well, the bad king had a good bloodline, so they wanted to keep the bloodline, but there was a very, very bad king previously.
Well, let me put it this way: they eliminated the bad king,
sure,
who was a tyrant, right?
A despot.
Okay. But what was the particular reason why they needed to create this new one?
To lead.
Why? What in particular about leadership? What was the need of the moment? Now you're spacing out, Raga.
Line, please.
Mara?
Because they defunded the police there, and all the
okay, there you go.
All the thieves and rogues were taking over. There was
exactly it.
There's no warrior class any longer.
So the thieves and the rogues had risen, right? So chaos was ensuing, right? They needed someone strong on crime, right? If this was a conservative principle, right? There needed to be some strong response to crime. That's a conservative idea. It's a conservative value, right?
Sure.
Now here we're getting a liberal value. The king should extract taxes and evenly distribute them, throughout, in times of need. That's, the conservative value is more like, no, let everyone be free, right? And it has more to do with like the rugged individualism, right? Here it's saying, no, the king's going to tax everyone, which generally, like conservatives, they say, no, minimize the taxes. Here it's saying, no, the king's taxing everyone and distributing it as it's needed. That's a very liberal idea. So we've heard.
Is he a Democrat or liberal? Or
is he a Democrat or a Republican? You can't tell.
King? What's going on?
Because both of these principles have value. That's the point,
Oh, I get it.
And it's a question.
We have to broaden our perspective every day. This is my lesson. Right. Broaden your perspective. Don't be so judgmental. Don't dig your heels in deep here. Try to understand people.
You see, generally, conservatives are more concerned with like institutions and tradition and keeping like order, law and order, right? And generally, liberals are more concerned about like compassion and caring for the vulnerable and equality,
Rehabilitation.
And there's value in both. There's value in both. But the question is how it's going to be applied. And we're where we are in the history right now is that we're very loath, maybe, or we're hesitant to grant anyone too much power because we
Yeah.
don't trust what they're going to do with it. And so
Sure.
when you're hearing about all this, one could say, well, hold it, this king has got such power. Is he going to become a tyrant? Right? In one sense, you have to give someone the power. Otherwise, you just get like all locked up. But if you give power, does that person become a tyrant?
Hmm.
Do they really care? And so the next verse is going to speak to that.
Text 7. King Prithu will be very, very, only in India they do this. King Prithu will be very, very kind to all citizens. Even though a poor person may trample over the king's head by violating the rules and regulations, the king, out of his causeless mercy, will be forgetful and forgiving. As a protector of the world, he will be tolerant as the earth itself.
There you go. So in other words, the system of government that they had was that sages, people that lived very simply, that had no material desires whatsoever because their spirituality was so deep that they lived in a little hut. They had no possessions. You couldn't bribe them or buy them. They were just like, their happiness was coming from within. That these were the people that were given the job of training from youth the future leaders. Right?
They were the leaders. They were the leaders of society. They were the leaders of society.
The leaders. Yeah.
Yeah. The actual leaders. Prabhupada says this in Krishna book. The actual leaders have taken a voluntary vow of poverty. When you think of poverty, we think of some destitute, suffering loser. You know what I mean? But it's a voluntary vow of poverty, so they couldn't be purchased. It's so cool. It's like completely detached, isn't it?
I saw just in my mind what we're reading now, and just things that I read from the news or things that people post.
What do you read?
All this stuff churns in my mind when I see like that the Varnashrama dharma that grows out of the Vedic literature. In other words, this recognition of people's different psychologies or aptitudes and the weaknesses and strengths in each, and the idea of granting each privileges as well as responsibilities in a way that they cooperate together. There's such a brilliance in it. And if you ignore it, you can ignore it, and certainly it can be misused and misapplied, no question about that. But if you ignore it, you never come up with a system that works. So like I recently saw a friend posting something about, it had to do with, it was a friend that has a PhD and is a teacher and wants to be a professor, in a university. And it had to do with tenure and the freedom for professors to express themselves freely and openly, their opinions, and how that freedom becomes checked sometimes in the opinion of this person, unduly by forces within the university, management and the control of the university. And it was a complaint about this dynamic
that they can be checked.
Yeah, in other words, like these professors should be free to say whatever they want, and they should be granted tenure so that they have that freedom and so on. Otherwise, the system breaks down and nobody's speaking truth and so on. And I looked at that and I said, I understand the frustration, but at the same time, what you're asking is that I should be paid to say whatever I want on a regular basis. I should receive a paycheck from someone who may or may not value what I'm saying, Why should someone that doesn't value what I'm saying pay me a regular paycheck to say it? It's just like what you're asking for is something that's unreasonable. Whereas in Varnashram Dharma, the professors, right? And when I say professors, I mean like in the most literal sense, those that profess the truth. They're not asking for
that word, nerd. I like that. They profess the truth.
Yeah, so they're not asking for a regular paycheck because the person that accepts a regular paycheck has a master. That's just how things work, right? And so within the Varnashram Dharma, that person is the Shudra. Less is asked of them, right? But the Brahmana, the teacher, more is asked of them. What's asked of them is that they live incredibly simply, that they only live with that they live with the strict personal self-discipline. right? A very pure lifestyle. So if you want to profess the truth, go ahead and profess the truth all you want, but don't ask someone to pay you monthly to do it, especially if they don't agree with what you're saying. It's like that just doesn't make sense. No one's stopping you from speaking the truth. You just want to get a paycheck from someone to do it. Whereas the Brahmin is like, if someone gives me a donation, I'll accept it. I'm going to speak my truth, and I'll live simply, and whatever people give me for it, I'll accept. And that way I'm always free to speak the truth.
We like to, our culture, we like to challenge everybody. We don't like to accept some person saying anything, any truth. We think that any elder, any tenured, anybody, we're not going to pay you. We're going to, even if we pay you for it, we're going to try to take you down and establish our truth on top of you. Not even in like a polite way. We're going to go right for your jugular vein.
So in any case, in this verse that we're reading here, the sages are speaking, right? You picture the king sitting on an elevated seat, and the sages are standing before him, and the wide public audience is there witnessing this event, and they're glorifying the king. But again, it's educational, right? They're saying this king, he's going to be very kind, right? He's going to be very tolerant, right? Even if someone steps on his head, he's going to be tolerant. This titikshava, right? This is the quality of a sadhu. Now, by his saying that, in one sense, they're even educating the king, right? They're saying you will be tolerant. In other words, it's him sitting on that throne, taking it in. It's like, okay, this is how I have to be. This is how I have to be. This is what I need to live up to. What they're presenting, right? And it's also educating the public. This is the qualities of a good leader. So that when you empower someone with that authority, with that governmental authority, that they've already been trained since their youth deeply in these philosophical or spiritual concepts that of the value of tolerance, to the value of kindness, that my happiness, I'll lose my own happiness if I don't learn to be tolerant. I'll compromise my own well-being, if I'm not kind,
Is this a good time for me to tell the story of Bhrigu Muni and Lord Vishnu?
Okay, yeah. Let's hear about Bhrigu Muni.
Well, the Saptarishis, the sages were all debating, like, well, which deity? There's so many powerful deities. You got Brahma, he's very powerful, and then you got Shiva, and he's very powerful. And Lord Vishnu, he's very powerful. Which one is supreme out of these three? So they, okay, Bhrigu, I want you to figure this out. So first he went to Brahma, and he was very happy to see Brahma. He said, Brahma, I'm so happy to see you. And Brahma was a little perturbed because he's the father of Bhrigu, and he didn't bow down. He said, how dare you come here like this? Why would you come here like this? Get out of it. And he got very angry at Bhrigu Muni. So Bhrigu Muni very quickly packed it up, and he went to see Lord Shiva. And of course, Lord Shiva is also born of Brahma. So he's the brother of Bhrigu. And Shiva, though, is very scary sometimes because he's covered in ashes from the crematorium. He wears a garland of skulls. He's followed around by ghostly beings. So he went to see Shiva, and when he saw Shiva, she was very happy to see him. Hey, Bhrigu, I'm so happy to see you. But he immediately got a little freaked out and just went, yeah, and got scared and just sort of took off. And then Shiva got angry that he got scared and started yelling at Bhrigu. So immediately Bhrigu went to Vaikuntha, and there is Vaikuntha. There is Vaikuntanath, Vishnu, laying on a bed of serpents, and the goddess Lakshmi massaging his feet. He looked very peaceful, laying down, and a big smile on his beautiful face was, hey, Bhrigu's here. I'm so happy to see Bhrigu. Bhrigu went right up to Lord Vishnu and kicked him right in the chest.
Whoa.
Yeah. He kicked, that's how he greeted Lord Vishnu. Just like we were saying, how the king will be trampled on his head. That's what he said, by people breaking rules and regulations. So he went up and kicked Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu looked at him and said, his reaction was this: oh, my dear Brahmin, I hope you did not hurt your lotus-like foot on my hardened chest. Please come here. Let me massage that foot of yours. He was not only tolerant, he was just so like loving to his devotee. And at that moment, he realized, oh, Vishnu, you're the highest. I'm going to tell the others.
So in other words, he was so far beyond the even tinge of the influence of the modes of material nature.
Hey, like you were giving the example of Vidura yesterday. He had every reason to be angry at Dhritarashtra for kicking him out on the streets. He's loving. He's dedicated. He always gave knowledge and truth. He was completely like a part of the team of the kingdom. And when Dhritarashtra, out of some affection for his son who was acting crazy, he kicked him out of the kingdom. He had every good reason to be resentful. And a lot of us listening feel like, hey, Raghu, if you knew my story, I would get a pass on forgiveness. Wait till you hear my story.
Right.
But no one gets a pass in spiritual life. And Vidura not only didn't ask for a pass, he solely kept this concept of radical responsibility. Whatever has happened to me is by the grace of God for my benefit. He didn't blame Dhritarashtra. He didn't blame the situation. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't like, okay, I'm out of the kingdom. I'm going on pilgrimage. But when I get back, I'm going to tell him off. It wasn't like that. He was like, Krishna is using this person to instruct me in my life. And I'm going to go off to the forest.
And so much so that he even returned to help him in the future, right?
Yeah, he came back and he just laid it out. Here's the deal, Dhritarashtra. That's one of my favorite chapters of the Bhagavatam too. Instructing Dhritarashtra.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Your teeth are loose.
Your teeth are
wrinkled.
loose.
You're a mess. You're gonna die. Do something about it.
You know why? Because the sadhu's heavy. Another word for guru means like sort of heavy. And so when he came back from pilgrimage, the war was now over. I'm just giving a little backstory. The war was over. And Dhritarashtra, he was the one that caused the whole war. And what's he doing? He's living at as a dependent of the people he was trying to kill. And they were just so noble, the Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Bhima. They were just like, you know what? We're just going to love him anyway. Even though he started this war, he tried to kill us.
He's our uncle. He's still our uncle, right?
He's still our uncle. We're going to take care of him. And Vidura was just like cutting right through it. Don't you understand? You're living like a beggar from the very people that you were trying to kill. This is like an ignominious place to be. You have to, now is the time. You're old. Leave everything immediately. Walk away from this kingdom. And he called him, oh, king, like almost like sarcastically, oh, king. Walk away from it all and search the highest truth. And that was Dhritarashtra quits home. Dhritarashtra left in that noble way of like taking sannyas, giving up everything, giving up that comfort zone to find God.
So here, this is called tatik. Is the word used here is tatiksati. It tolerates. He will tolerate, right? And he's compared to the earth, that the earth is so tolerant, right? Everyone is walking all over it. Right?
We're doing worse than that. We're doing worse than walking on it.
Yeah, right.
We're drilling, we're pounding, we're extracting, we're lopping down mountains, we're mining.
And so, you know what? Okay, here's a hot seat for you, Raghunath, okay?
Ooh.
The earth does tolerate so much, right?
Yeah.
But there's a saying, I'm forgetting where it's from. Someone could search this out.
Are you going to hot seat me with non-Vedic quizzes?
No, this is Vedic. It's okay. Vedic. I'm just not sure. I'm forgetting where it comes from. But it said that all of these are burdens on the earth. You know, the way that we walk all over the earth, the way that our wars, our pollution, so many.
Yes.
But what is the one burden that's the heaviest on the earth that the earth just can't tolerate?
What is the one thing that the earth can't tolerate?
Yeah, the heaviest burden.
Ungratefulness.
I mean, that's nice, but
I thought that was
thought that would work.
A liar.
That's it. A liar.
A liar. Woo!
Yeah.
Got it. Number 2. Not bad. Number 2. I'm up there with Sonny the cat today.
It's lying that is like the heaviest burden. Think about that, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But, you know, in any case, Tatiksha, this tolerance is being spoken about here. Now, where else do we find in Bhagavatam? Is that very famous verse, right?
Karunika surida sarvadehinam ajatra shatrava shanta sadava sadabhushana. Boom! I
What's
just
sadhu
rolled that
bhusha
one
mean?
off. That was like
Nice.
15 years ago. I had that memorized.
Now let's find out. Did Karuna know that one? Because it mentions her name in there. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised. if
Karuna should
does
learn
know?
that one. Mary, you
Does she
should
know
learn
that?
that one. Mara
Karuna,
went
do
to
you know
private
that
school.
verse?
She doesn't know
No.
one verse.
She knows one verse.
What's your one verse?
She knows Sarvadharma Prityaja. She learned that on the way out to California.
You still know it?
No.
No, she forgot it already. Now, some people are good at things, but they just can't memorize.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a great verse. It describes the symptoms of a sadhu.
Sadhu bhushana. What does bhushana mean?
Adorned.
Yeah.
Or no.
Like
sadhu-
adornments,
sadhu-
right? Like
adornments.
one's
Yeah, these are
jewelry
the-
or something like that. It's called.
These are what adorns the sadhu.
Yeah.
Titikshava karunika, right? Tolerance,
Tolerance. Karunika.
compassion,
Yep. Yep.
karuna. All right.
Suhrida.
Surida sarva dehinam. To everybody, they're the dearest friend. They have no enemies. Ajata
Surida means a
shatrava
friend.
shanta.
Yeah.
Right?
To
Ajata.
I could say Surida means friendly.
Yeah.
And Sarvadehinam, to every living being.
To every living being. That's the
Okay,
move.
Then
Ajata
Sattva.
shatrava shanta. They become peaceful because they are without any enemies.
That's right. Ajata Shatrava. No enemies.
Yeah.
Inimical to no
These are-
one.
And these are the ornaments of a sadhu.
But
How do you
there's another one. Sadhava.
sadhava? What is that?
They abide by the sacred texts.
Acha. The sacred texts are our GPS. That's how we walk in this world. They give us a map. Gets
So this is
confusing.
it.
It gets confusing in the material world. Everyone's got some new philosophy on life. Gets confusing.
Mhm.
There's a map out there. It's not
map.
confusing, actually. It's quite, I mean, you'll still have to ask questions. Am I on the right road here? Sometimes I feel like I might miss a turn. Nope. That's why you check in with devotees, gurus, friends on a spiritual path. We don't wing it. We don't speculate.
Mm. You know, this word surida means friendly to everyone. Friendly.
Yeah.
In the wedding rings that they had in Genevieve's and Kula's wedding yesterday,
Yeah.
within the ring they had engraved the word suhrit.
Oh, that's nice.
Which means
Friends.
friend.
You
Yeah,
are
and-
my lover. You're my best friend. You're in my soul. What's
Oh,
that
please.
from?
It's Rod Stewart.
Oh, it's Rod Stewart. What? Look what's stored in this mind of mine. I got to take birth in a South Indian Brahmin family, just so I don't have this
Tatisha Karunika.
luggage.
Just,
I've got
just chant the verse again.
70s hits in my mind.
Anyway, it was nice, and the Bhagavata Shri Prabhu spoke on that meaning of suhrit, of friendship, how Krishna is the ultimate friend of everyone, but that the husband and wife, that's a very intimate friendship. It was very interesting how he spoke. I think that's it for today, huh?
That's it, Mara. Mara, you playing the game?
Let's
today?
let us give an assignment to Karuna though. I think that's a verse because it says Titikshava Karunika. It has your name in
Yeah,
it.
it's got your name in it,
Why don't we
Karuna.
learn that one, Karuna? Okay.
Yeah, maybe Nityananda Chandra.
She's
Have
saying
you
no.
seen
She
Nityananda
doesn't want to
Chandra
learn
movie?
it.
Have you
Hold on,
seen
maybe she
Nityananda?
doesn't know what verse it is. She needs to know what verse it is. That's what she's saying.
Okay, someone put it up on the board. One of our pundits, Chapu, put it on the board. But have you seen Nityananda Chandra yet? Maybe he can teach that in his verse shloka class.
I only saw him from a distance.
From a distance.
This is a text 21 of the verse. Oh, there we go. 325:21. Chapu's on it. Boom.
Chapu is like a pundit, huh? She's good. She's good.
She should learn that one too. It's a really good verse to learn. Because you know, people think, what is a sadhu? What is the saying?
They wear orange robes. They have a turban. They're smoking a beedi. You know, whatever they
smoking a beedi.
Well, sometimes you see these sadhus are smoking a beedi, or they're puffing some type of hookah,
or what do they call it? Chillum. Yeah.
But the sadhu is described. You want to know what it is? That's why we're reading the Bhagavatam, so we have some perspective, or else you get lost and I went to India, I hung out with the sadhus, I got stoned with the. No, the Bhagavatam will give you that discernment that we need to make advancement in our spiritual life. That's what we're doing, actually. We're training ourselves for the entrance of spiritual life by developing sharpened intelligence. So when someone says, oh, that guy's a guru, well, what qualifies him to be a guru, or lady is a guru?
Tolerant,
What qualifies them?
merciful.
Yeah.
Have
And
enemies,
what
so the kind
the
of living
Bhagavatam
enemies?
itself is teaching us. Oh, well, this person just said this. Well, we learn discernment. Well, can you just say this? Where's that coming from? Is it in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra? Are they just making this stuff up? What is their lineage? Are they just like a self-proclaimed authority on wisdom? We're actually sharpening intelligence. That's how we move forward. We're not asking anybody. The Vedic teachings don't ask anybody to be blind followers. We need spiritual intelligence. And this is what the Bhagavatam does. This is one of the greatest gifts the Bhagavatam gives us.
Sometimes in the
we're not letting her. Mara's just like waiting here on the edge of her seat.
Sometimes
wait.
Sometimes when some great acharya is like, when there's an image of them, in one hand they're holding an axe, right?
An axe?
An axe.
Are you thinking of like
represent?
Cutting Maya. Cutting.
Well, yeah, that discriminate, that sharpened discernment that you're speaking of, viveka, it's called, right? Viveka, that sharpened discernment to slice through, not just be sentimental or foolish about, oh, that's a person's sadhu because they got a long beard. And slice right through that.
By the way, do you remember the other day when I said there's a bird trying to get in my window and keep whacking in the window? I got a message from the vegan trucker right after the show. He said,
I got something I got to say about vegan trucker, but keep going.
Okay. He said the cardinal, it's a cardinal trying to get in my house. The cardinal is seeing the reflection and he thinks it's another male. So he's attacking it. That's why this cardinal, he's doing it right now. He's banging on my window all day long.
That's something to learn from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like how upset and disturbed we become over nothing, and it's really just
over nothing, over something completely an illusion.
Yeah, over an illusion. There you go.
And it's taking up this bird's mind all day long. How much longer will I bang my head against the window of the material world? And what is it?
Okay, now you headache. Drawing wisdom. As a matter of fact, I've seen in New York on the street, I've seen a cardinal, like kind of flying, kind of perching itself right in front of like the rear view mirror of a parked car and pecking away at the mirror. I've seen that before.
Yeah, that's the alpha male.
There you go.
Trying to be.
So
alpha.
Now, what I want to say about the vegan trucker,
is
just this morning I saw that Krishna Kitchen in Newburgh, New York.
Yeah.
Right, those are our friends. The Revel family runs that restaurant in Newburgh. If you're anywhere around Newburgh, New York, go check out
Krishna's Kitchen. That's a big plug. We love them.
They have a new thing called the Vegan Trucker Special.
What? You got a food named after him?
That's right.
I don't have that.
They got the Vegan Trucker Special. Raghunath, why does your mind immediately go there?
I'm arrogant. I'm arrogant and I'm self-absorbed. I've got issues, Kaustubha. I'm trying to share this with you.
So the Vegan Trucker Special is exactly what you need if you're coming off the I-84 towards the 9 West South stop off the Krishna Kit. Anyway, it's posted there on Facebook. The Vegan Trucker Special at Krishna Kitchen.
It says, Ramad Devi says, vegan trucker helped yesterday prepare the prasadam for the wedding this weekend for like 12 hours. He's a very pious trucker. He may be the most pious trucker we've ever met. I met a lot of truckers. They're not known for their piety. They're not always known, except
sometimes the trucker is a thinker, though. Sometimes the trucker is a thinker.
Sometimes they're deep thinkers. Yeah.
Other
times they're rascals. Okay, come on, we're squirreling this one out.
Any takeaways, Mara?
Yeah. All of our pain exists in the mind. Our daily sadhana is cutting away our fear, anger, arrogance, and resentment.
Psychic surgery.
We're preparing ourselves for the spiritual world.
Yep.
You can't give wisdom, you can give knowledge.
Yep.
Okay.
Wisdom is ripened knowledge, thinking, feeling, and breathing.
Yep.
Broaden your perspective every day. I'll lose my own happiness if I don't learn to be tolerant.
Yeah.
You
got some good stuff today.
Really good stuff today.
Good stuff.
I compromise my own well-being if I'm not kind.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No one gets a pass on forgiveness.
Nope.
Whatever is happening is by the grace of God for my benefit.
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to give up your comfort zone to find God.
Oh.
Sacred texts are our GPS.
Oh.
How much longer will I bang my head on the window of material illusion?
Yes, I'm holding up my camera just so the Zoomers can see this bird.
Wow.
There
He's
he
really
is.
going
There-
for
oh,
it.
There's the female right there. Oh, now I just scared him away. They'll be back. They'll be back.
But hey, nobody got on that liberal conservative thing. I think that was an important point, right? What did you say? We need to broaden our perspective. There's value on both sides, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm Kaustubha. Vote for my takeaway.
I didn't say vote. I just brought it out that one wasn't mentioned. Maybe we should bring our attention to it for just a moment before we start the music. That's all.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Hey, you want to hear something great, Kaustubha? I've
What?
been scripting myself for so many years as like, I'm the guy, I'm not good at anything. I've decided to rewrite that script. Today, me and Lev are going to grout the backsplash of the Yogi House. And I've never
Grout it
grouted
out.
anything. I've never been good with my hands. It's all changing today. I'm going to grout today. What do you think about that?
All right.
I'm going to
Okay.
reinvent myself today. Boom.
Don't get proud though.
No, I'm looking for a painter. If anyone does exterior house painting, we're going to paint this Yogi house. I'm going to learn how to use a spray painter, but I just need someone who's a little bit more. I'm scared of ladders. So is Banjo Mike. He's talented, Banjo Mike, but he's scared of ladders too. So if anybody
You have to
knows
overcome. That's right there. That's your comfort zone. You got to break through it, Raghunath. Climb that ladder.
Nityananda Chandra's calling me the Groutacharya. That's what I'm shooting for. I want to be the Groutacharya. All right, I'm going to bring the.
Now,
I'm bringing,
Nityananda Chandra, he was doing a little word nerd stuff on the chat board at one point. I noticed
oh yeah,
about the word check.
check.
Right? Check. He
No,
said that
tell me.
was old English to limit something or something like that. But you know, people still use that now. They say like, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Checkmate.
Checkmate. Oh, right.
Checkmate.
Okay. Well, of course, that's kind of chess goes way back.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to. Now the birds aren't doing it. Come on, you dumb cardinals. Sorry.
Raghunath,
Cardinals.
why do you speak to the birds?
Lev
such
means heart in
animosity?
Hebrew.
to know.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, Wisdom of the Sages is community supported. And you know what? We got a great community. I really love this community. I feel so supported and loved and taken care of by this community. And sometimes we're strong and we lift people up, and sometimes we're weak and the community lifts us up. So thanks to everybody part of our community. Thanks to everyone who is donating and supporting us. It's needed and welcome. If you want to support us, if you get something out of this show, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages and be a monthly donor if you like. We really appreciate it. We're trying to keep this going. We're trying to spread it. Here's what I want to say. A big part of bhakti is nurturing and loving others, right? It's not just sitting there with our little jewel of truth, our little pearl of wisdom. It's actually, you get wise by giving. That's the magic of love. The more you give it, the more you get it. So find 3 people today and send them a link to the show. Spread the love around. Take a screenshot. Tag Wisdom of the Sages or tag Raghunath Yogi.
I didn't know this was going to turn into a promotional statement.
This is a
I thought you were gonna
promotional
say- I
statement.
thought you were going to say go to 3 people. I thought you were going to say go to 3 people that have wronged you and be loving to them or something like that.
Well, it could have been that. I could say that. No, I'm